For more insight, let's bring in lifelong fan as well as forensic musicologist Joe Bennett. He's a professor at Berklee College of Music, joins us from Boston. We need to start with one of the big hits, don't we? Let's listen to Surfin' USA. So Wilson was the writer of all these songs, wasn't he? That was in the early 60s, a whole run of pieces of music. I think on their website they talk about selling 100 million records like that. They're so familiar, Joe, but just explain why they were special at the time.
Well, the Beach Boys kind of came in during the explosion of interest in the surf fad that came around in 1962-63. Artists like Dick Dale and the Ventures and others who were into that surf sound. And Chuck Berry fans might recognize a little bit of that riff that we just heard from Surfin' USA. In fact, there was a little bit of legal battles between Chuck Berry and the Beach Boys because of that similarity. But very quickly, they sort of outgrew that surf sound, and Wilson really sort of spread his wings as a songwriter and began to innovate with what could be done in songwriting almost immediately.
And it was amazing the rate at hits he wrote. Let's listen to one that came the following year, Get Around.
Round, round, get around, I get around, yeah, get around, round, round, I get around, I get around.
You analyse in detail, forensically, these pieces of music. What was the secret to their success, do you think?
I actually teach a whole class at Berklee about that particular track because there's so much in I Get Around. What was innovative about it was, well, Brian Wilson was a lot more harmonically literate than a lot of his peers as a songwriter, by which I mean he knew more chords. So a lot of the time he would just put chord changes in that no one else sort of knew about or would dare do. And that's one way in which he sort of stretched what could be achieved within songwriting at the time. And he also messed around really quite early on with song form. That is, sections in a Brian Wilson song didn't need to be just 4 bars or 8 bars or have even the predictable melodic sections. So he was sort of innovating as soon as he had the opportunity. And of course, in terms of musical time, that coincided with the explosion of new studio technology that became available kind of from the mid-60s onwards.
You're the expert here, but I've just been reading today, and one of the greatest, or what's widely regarded as one of the greatest pop songs ever written, is this next one, written by, or co-written by Wilson at least.
God only knows what I'd be without you.
Do you agree, or just explain what's so special about it?
It's absolutely extraordinary for, especially for its time. No one was being that daring in what could be achieved, again, with the chords. So the section that you played just there was obviously the main title hook, God Only Knows What I'd Be Without You. And I'll grab a guitar to demonstrate. That particular hook just comes across from the 3 main chords. God only knows what I'd be without you. But then we have this weird riff, and then a key change right at the start of the verse. And we're into a new key, and then these minor changes, alternate bass notes, alternate bass note again, diminished chord, back where we were. And so you've got all these changes that were really unexpected for the time, and no one was doing that in mainstream pop at the time.
Because people often say, you know, these are basic songs because they sound simple, but what you're saying is they were incredibly complex in their simplicity.
Yeah, I think the reason people think they sound simple is because they're really hooky. You know, everyone could sing God Only Knows What I'd Be Without You. It's a really simple melodic hook. But that's really just on the surface. And of course, you have that Beach Boys sort of signature harmony and a whole lot of double tracked vocals that give it a certain sound that we associate with the Beach Boys. But kind of under the hood, as the Americans would say, there's a whole lot more going on in terms of song craft. And I think that's why today so many songwriters cite him as an influence, because he was breaking boundaries, certainly by the mid 60s.
I mean, you teach a class there, don't you, on one song from the Beach Boys. Do your students see it? Are they still being inspired by those innovations that he introduced to the world in the 60s?
Well, a lot of my students really love chords, so they get super excited about the changes that are in there. But even there, I sometimes have to sort of nudge them a little to listen past this sort of 60s production techniques and the reverbs and the vocal techniques to really hear what's going on in song craft terms. And I think once you do that, like I say, under the hood, there's a whole lot more going on.
Joe Bennett, really appreciate you having on the show. Thank you so much for joining us.